Today's video is sponsored by Exmo.
Hello and welcome to another video, and welcome to an early morning here at Changi Airport in Singapore. I've just come in off an Airbus A380 of Singapore Airlines from Delhi, and I've got a couple of hours connecting here before I head on for a very long flight. I'm heading to Los Angeles today via Tokyo in Singapore Airlines new business class. It's going to be a fantastic experience. But first, let me explain to you what's so special and unusual about this flight.
In the previous video, you saw me arrive at Singapore from Delhi, and now I'm off to Los Angeles. There's a daily flight between the two cities. Singapore Flight 38 will do the trip in 15 hours, non-stop, aboard an Airbus A350 like this. A pretty cosy way to spend 15 hours if you ask me. The flight covers a total distance of 8,770 miles. Singapore also offers another option, Flight 12, which goes via Narita Airport in Tokyo, which obviously makes it far more interesting. These flights are operated by Boeing 777-300ER aircraft, and surprisingly, the total distance is just 5 miles more than flying non-stop. It'll take us 18 hours, including a 1 hour 25-minute stopover in Narita. But we arrive just 2 hours after we left, thanks to crossing the international date line, which effectively makes us lose a day. Also, note that this is a direct flight, even though there's a stop, because this flight is operated by the same aircraft and retains the same flight number for both sectors. A non-stop flight goes from point to point without a stop, but a direct one merely has to retain the same flight number. A bit of aviation trivia there for you. Oh, and yes, you can just fly Singapore to Tokyo or Tokyo to LA. That's sort of the point of the flight. About a third of the passengers on my flight were copying me and going the full distance. My first priority was to visit the first Singapore lounge I could find. This turned out to be the Krisflyer Gold Terminal 2 lounge and not the SilverKris lounge I was aiming for. There's a difference. Krisflyer lounges are for Gold Star Alliance status passengers who are flying economy and as such are less well appointed. It's not a proper business class lounge, at least not in the eyes of the airline. Still, I was able to get my bearings here and find my way to Terminal 3. Now, I can't let you watch a video about flying Singapore Airlines from Changi Airport without including at least some footage from the Jewel, a new flagship shopping and leisure complex which is at the airport and linked to 3 of the terminals, but is actually open to everyone and doesn't feel like it's part of an airport at all. Because I'm a tease, I won't show you everything about the Jewel or the airport itself, because I have plans when the world returns to a more normal state to actually spend 24 hours in this, the world's best airport, and show you how you can spend the whole day there without getting bored. Suffice to say, there's enough to do to justify making an entirely separate video just on the amenities here, of which the Jewel is only part. This is a really remarkable piece of architecture, although strangely enough, the transit train doesn't stop inside, it just passes through on its journey. Today's video sponsor is Exmo, a cryptocurrency exchange. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last few years, you can't have missed the growing trend in owning and trading cryptocurrency. If you're like me and new to the whole idea, Exmo is a great place to start your trading journey. You see, Exmo doesn't bamboozle you with a million charts or expect you to be a crypto whiz. The nice, clear, simple Trade tab is designed specifically for people who buy crypto for the first time. Exmo's support team are always on hand in case you have any problems, and they also have a channel here on YouTube where they break down some of the cryptocurrency concepts in simple terms. They also provide their own study courses. There's a lot of cashback options too, which will help you save up to 116% on trading commissions. In fact, if you sign up with the link in the description, you'll get $100 of advanced premium cashback for free. So download Exmo, sign up and gain $100 worth advanced premium cashback for free and start saving heaps on trading commissions today. Terminal 3 is arguably the nicest of all of Changi's 4 terminals. There's really so much to see and do here, and if the apron and runway views don't do it for you, perhaps take a walk and find one of the public areas, which are better furnished than many European business class lounges, or have a city tour, or go to the butterfly garden, or watch a movie. Or if you're feeling a bit overstimulated and fortunate enough to be flying business class, head for the classy and understated confines of the SilverKris lounge, which, for the avoidance of doubt, is the correct lounge to use when flying business.
Hello.
Thank you. Welcome in.
Thank you.
To the right is Singapore's first class and exclusive private room areas, but turning left instead is no hardship. This is Singapore Airlines' Flagship Lounge. It's huge, well appointed, comfortable and features a huge buffet. I pretty much live on orange juice, coffee and water in the morning, and it may surprise you that I actually had some work to do, so I spent a rather uneventful hour here.
Heading off now to gate B9 here in Singapore to catch my flight first to Tokyo, and then it will take me on to Los Angeles, Singapore flight 12. It's going to be a great experience. I'm so looking forward to this.
Today's aircraft is this Boeing 777-300ER, which Singapore has owned since it left the factory in 2007. The two General Electric GE90-115B engines will take us over 8,000 miles to the west coast of the USA. By the way, these aircraft have just 4 first-class seats, a single row at the front of the aircraft, one of the smallest international first-class cabins you'll find anywhere.
Boarding for SQ12 to Los Angeles via Tokyo Narita will commence now.
First and business class board via the forward of the 2 air bridges.
I'm good, how are you?
Thank you. Mr. Xavier. Across, please.
Hello. Hiya.
This is first class, not Singapore's flagship suites, but here are those 4 seats I talked to you about. A quick note about business class. I chose a bulkhead seat because the leg space when the seat is in bed mode is much larger. Seats which are behind other seats and not at a bulkhead have a much smaller space for your legs and feet. See? 11K was my seat on this flight. There are 48 business class seats in a 1-2-1 layout. I've chosen to sit in the intimate 12-seat mini cabin, which has the benefit of being in front of the wings for good views of the ground.
Good morning. Morning.
There are no bad seats in this mini cabin, but you might want to note that row 14 has a missing window. Those of you who know my videos well know that I prefer softer colours and an understated design, and the ambience of Singapore's business cabin is excellent.
I just brought you the business time just in case as well.
Okay, thank you very
no
much.
worries. You're
Thank you.
welcome. Now, did you need any other reading materials? Yes.
It's still early morning and I'm still recovering from a 5-hour overnight flight from India. So it's just an orange juice for now. Let's see if I get something stronger on the Tokyo to LA leg. But for now, cheers, and I hope you enjoy this video. I am so looking forward to this.
We depart Singapore to the north, and one of the first things we do is leave Singaporean airspace for Malaysian airspace. Singapore and Malaysia went their separate ways in the 1960s, but naturally there's still quite a lot of cultural crossover. Singapore Airlines served me satay as a post-takeoff appetizer, just like I'd had on Malaysia Airlines a few days previously, although I wouldn't like to risk saying whose was better. This seat is manufactured by Jamco, a company in which Singapore Airlines has a 45% stake, and is rather good. There's everything you'd expect, of course, but there are some fine touches, like the addition of multiple reading lights so you can even read in bed, well-positioned controls so you can't start moving your seat accidentally, and little areas of storage, plus a vanity mirror. The table, however, only turns slightly, so if you're very large or very clumsy, you may struggle to get out while there are plates on the table. Now, the highlight of every flight. Well, for me anyway. Singapore's food offering is astonishing, and as well as their onboard menu, they offer Book the Cook, where you can pre-order from a list of literally over 100 main courses, whether you're flying first class, business or premium economy. The level of choice was almost paralysing, but in the end, here's what I went for. An Indian dish on the previous flight departing India, and on this flight, something Malay, something Japanese and something American, to keep with the theme. And if 100 plus main courses isn't enough to overstimulate you, here's the full menu and drinks list, which are entirely separate to that. Note that there are separate menus for the first and second sectors of this flight. You'll also notice there's no breakfast option. This flight has lunch, dinner and then lunch again. I'll talk more about this later. Starters and desserts can't be pre-ordered, but the food is so good on board that pretty much anything you order will arrive and taste brilliant. I'm actually rather glad I didn't eat in the lounge. Just exquisite. I haven't had anything this good since I flew Cathay Pacific first class, and that was about 18 months ago. I spent several hours working on this 6-hour flight up to Japan, and the Wi-Fi came in handy for that. Singapore's 777s have both brand new Wi-Fi from Panasonic, and some airframes have slightly older on-air Wi-Fi. This aircraft has the older on-air Wi-Fi, which was still great, but bear in mind, in business class, you only get 30 megabytes for free instead of 100 megabytes on the newer Panasonic-equipped planes. Anyway, we were soon on final approach to Narita, and my first time on Japanese soil. Narita is the newer of Tokyo's two airports. Built in the 1970s, the airport houses a reminder of Japanese stoicism and resolve. The airport had to be built literally around several farms after the owners refused to move, complaining of a lack of consultation with the government. It's called the Sanrizuka struggle and is a remarkable story. I'll leave a link to an article in the description text. But hey-ho, there are still 5 farms left on Narita Airport's property that aircraft still have to taxi around to this day. All passengers must deplane at Narita, including me. You stay airside the whole time and never legally enter the country of Japan. No transit visa is needed, nor any right of entry to Japan. It's all very simple. It's not often you get an hour to stretch your legs in the middle of a direct flight, although you'll probably want to head to the ANA lounge. You can get a shower here and some food, although the imminent threat, at the time, of COVID meant the buffet was removed. Not that you'd need it if you were flying Singapore business class.
Well, that was a very painless transfer, and I even got a shower in the bargain as well. Just heading back to my gate, where it sounds like the flight is just about to board. It's another 10 hours to Los Angeles.
And so we turn eastward and head towards the United States, right over the Northern Pacific. This sector takes nearly 10 hours, so it's a good chance to eat a heavy meal and sleep. And it's on this sector I allow myself a bit of alcohol, a Singapore sling. I've had, a lot of business class meals before, and while I'm not a huge fan of doing things like scoring stuff out of 10 or making lists, I'd say the food on board was better than some first class meals I've eaten, and this was certainly the best business class food offering I've ever seen. And the ice cream even passed my infamous Delta Airlines test. Nice one, Singapore. Of course, the best way to prevent alcohol spilling during heavy turbulence is to make it disappear quickly. In terms of entertainment, Singapore offers excellent noise-cancelling headphones and a truly massive selection of choice, rivaling all of the American carriers. You can also choose to watch programs on the remote, although I'm not quite sure what purpose that would serve, to be honest. Singapore Airlines doesn't provide amenity kits. Instead, the toiletries and amenities are packed away in the lavatories, which prevents waste. That's pretty smart. You can find dental kits, razors, hand lotion, sanitary napkins, and even a sick bag in here. What I don't understand though, with such high quality and attention to detail, is that Singapore provides slippers and an eye mask in business class, but no pyjamas, so bring your own and don't sleep in your clothes. The crew made the spare seat into a bed for me. It was huge, comfortable, and I didn't have the complaint some make of narrow footwells because this was also a bulkhead seat. Centre seats like this have a privacy divider, so your neighbour won't disturb you, and you can just stick on the do not disturb sign and catch a good night's sleep. I had 6 solid hours. Curiously, despite the flight landing into LA at 11:30 in the morning, the third and final meal service on this flight is lunch. This doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me because most people will sleep on a 10-hour overnight flight, and breakfast just seems the most sensible choice. While the food was outstanding yet again, I'm just not sure it was the right choice of meal. It goes without saying, however, that the crew was excellent on this flight. Polished and attentive without ever being too over the top. We made our approach into Los Angeles slightly early and routed as usual to the north, and I'll leave you with some shots of the distinctive approach and landing into LAX. Overall, a superb flight. While there were small niggles like that inexplicable pajama policy and why 2 lunches are served aboard, this was nonetheless a memorable and wonderful experience. One-stop direct flights are always interesting to me anyway, and I always choose them for the novelty value. But to do this with Singapore Airlines in business class was really something. A wonderful treat. Don't forget to download Exmo, sign up and gain $100 worth of advanced premium cashback for free and start saving up to 90% on trading commissions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.